that's the best part. So like when you do stuff like this and go, I meet good people and they do amazing stuff. And like I said, I like to think I'm getting better. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I've watched some of your stuff like posted on Instagram. Yeah, here from your first one, you're starting to learn form, which I think, which is really the big one. So yeah, you're learning,
Yeah, I
which is
just
huge.
I figured out shoes now. I actually figured out shoes now because that boggled me for a minute. It's like, how do you do that?
Shoes are tricky.
Actually, yeah, but I just figured out a shortcut. So
Oh,
it's like
what?
small circle, big triangle.
Oh yeah.
That works. It's like, haha, I've learned something and stuff.
Yeah, you start with small, or yeah, like you were saying before, you start with shapes, and then you build on those. Like you build a foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got something to work with.
Well, actually, now when I do a drawing, I look at drawings. Like, okay, how can I simplify these things? Now, people in form
Yeah,
is still like again, Mortal Kombat super hard. Holy crap!
their
But
their costumes are detailed.
what? Yeah. Although
Yeah, I'm
I don't,
seeing this now. Now that I'm
I
talking about
think
it.
I think my second Kano is decent.
Yeah,
Porn stash Kano, totally is
Corn
decent.
Stash Kano was dope.
Yeah.
I like. I,
But
I enjoyed Porn Stash Kano.
yes. And I asked a really tough question: what came first, the Lego stash or the porn stash? Anybody watching this who's answer that question, what do you think came first, the Lego stash or the porn stash?
Oh,
See
mhm.
what horrible revelations my audience will give us.
I don't know. What type of answers? It's the chicken and the egg all over again.
It is. It's an important chicken and the egg. With the stash
Yeah.
or not the stash. And anyone listens to this is like, what the hell? Like, are you ever? I actually, have you ever ran away screaming on that one? It's okay. I did that. But it's all good. I have to be myself in these things. Otherwise, I'd go slowly crazy, you know? So,
Oh yeah. You gotta keep yourself entertained.
oh,
You're
totally.
you're alone with yourself 24/7. Well, pretty much alone, like 24/7. Uh, yeah, 24/7. Like you're stuck with your own thoughts. Like learn to be comfortable. Learn to be comfortable with them as best as you can.
Absolutely. So, my big tough question for you during this year, how's been your, like, when it got bad, did you freeze on your creativity or did you become more creative?
I didn't get. Oh, it changed. I've never experienced anything called writer's block or the variants in like music or drawing or anything, but it changed. That first year it became very philosophical and introspective, and that well actually it came out yesterday. The short story collection I did, which basically compiled a bunch of short stories I did, but I made an overarching story to it, which brought them all together, and it involved life and what happens after life and the meaning of it. What's it mean to be alive? Is it worth it? And all of those heavy, real questions. Because at the last year, around getting close to around this time when the pandemic really hit, those were real big questions. And like, I'm sure in everyone's mind, it's like how fragile we all were. So
Oh,
I found my art shifted. It's like, wow, this outside force just kind of knocked and the entire human civilization just like boom. So like
on
I started,
yeah.
yeah, my brain went that way and I went more introspective where before the pandemic, more of my stuff was not introspective, extrospect. I don't know,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like external. And I
yeah.
was like talking, writing more about, uh, yeah, like bigger events, and it involved people. Where the latest two that I'm doing, one that's coming out later, yeah, it's been a lot more internalized and what's going on inside. So yeah, it just shifted um, the art.
Your first confrontation with your own mortality.
Death and mortality have always been a theme in everything I've ever done.
Yeah.
I've got a weird obsession with it, but it's been more before. It was more externally projected with in terms of the storytelling, but then the past few, it's been really roped into what happens on the inside. Where before it's more like, oh, I'll lose out on my friends, my family. And then what happens to the people that are left behind, and their emotions. Where now it's been more internalized with the past couple of things I've worked on.
Huh. So
Yeah. So I guess long-winded answer, but the short version is, yeah, I've never gotten writer's block, even with the pandemic or creative blocks. It just shifted, and the drawing went more. We'll call it psychedelic. It went a little more psychedelic, with the collages and stuff, and then the music I do for like as book scores. Um, Before the pandemic, I actually had planned. I had the whole thing worked out to start doing live shows with a music project, and I wanted
yes.
to. I actually was going to start doing more musical band type things, and I had some people lined up to do guest appearances, like drums and stuff, and some actual live shows as a band. But pandemic, obviously, so I shifted all my musical focus from creating songs back to where I started, with music, which was texturizing and creating interesting scores that worked as background music for while you were reading. So I just kind of moved back into that. So a lot of the creative stuff just moved into this, yeah, really uh, self self-contained environment rather than big booming, include everyone in a massive crowd type deal, just because we can't do that.
Hmm. Okay. So I dealt with my own mortality when I was 25. But
Oh,
I dealt with my own mortality because I actually had a little face-to-face confrontation with it, and you just. And then about 4 years ago, I had a very weird sickness, and I was struggling with some basic things like sleeping and walking. And when you go through a couple of those things, you just realize how fragile. Like again, the fragility of life. It's
yes.
always fragile. Now, the answer I came up with is so the first time it happened, when I actually had my face to face, it hits you one day I'm going to die. And,
Yeah.
and it hits you that yeah, you're not going to escape this fate. You, like everyone else on this planet, is one day going to be gone. You're not
Yeah.
invincible. But then there's another part, but then I realized too that that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Regardless of like we all have one life, and at some point it has to end, and it's right when it ends because that means if no one died, like one of the most interesting, like if life never changed, and it's probably the biggest thing about death is a product of change.
Yeah.
Change is the great constant of the universe, and that's one of the ways that change you can measure change.
Yeah.
Who's here, who's gone, who's come, who's gone, and it's great. If there was no death, there would be nothing but stillness. Nothing would change. And people that I had this talk with Ron. Ron's like, I'm not planning on dying. It's like it's okay to die. It does like even if I do believe it, I do believe in God. But even if I didn't, I mean, in that moment, I recognize like it's gonna when it's my turn to go, it's going to be an okay thing when it's my time. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not what people think it is. It's
Mm-mm.